Chapter 51 Trivia. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Daliu Shu Village, the second son of Fang Mufang's family became Wu Xiucai, and Wu Xiucai was different from Wen Xiucai. Wu Xiucai seemed to be more noble, and he was exempted from the land tax of 300 acres and the dinko tax for 10 people. Their family only has a dozen acres of land, and there are 4 people in the family. He can also be exempted from the land tax of more than 200 acres and the dinko tax for 6 people. The exemption from dinko tax is not much, and no one has thought about it yet. The remaining 200 acres of tax-free land have become the talk of Daliu village for more than 10 days. Among the people with the Fang surname, I don't know how many people want to donate their fields. In this way, you don't have to pay taxes for farming, and you only need to pay rent to Fang Yue's family. Based on the situation of Mr. Lu's house in the village, the rent required for this kind of donation is only 30% of the previous talent. Still, the court did not increase the rent by 30% of what it was before. If they donate their land, they won't have to pay so much land tax in the future, and they won't have to live so hard in the future. The Fang Yue family is of the same clan, so even if they donate their land, they will definitely not treat them harshly, and they don't have to worry about their land being snatched. It's just that something happened that day. Many people of the same clan with the Fang surname who were originally close to each other are now too embarrassed to go to the Fang family. Naturally, they can't talk about the land donation. Master, I heard that Fang Batzi next door donated all his 12 acres of paddy fields to Fang Ji. Oh, Mr. Fang Yue's family, I also saw that his family steamed a large basket of steamed buns today, saying he wanted to have a good meal. At Fang Liang's home, his mother-in-law was very envious, but then she thought of the current situation of his family. Comparing the two, his neighbors who were not as well off as him are now able to have enough to eat. She felt very uncomfortable in her heart and immediately looked at her husband. It's all your fault. If you hadn't joined in the fun one day, our family would have been able to eat cornbread today. But, that belongs to the Fang Sua clan, old man. Fang Liang felt very regretful. Although he had some thoughts of taking advantage at the time, he didn't say a word at the scene. Unexpectedly, Fang Yue, the second youngest son of the Fang family, turned out to be successful and came back as a martial arts scholar without a word. He became a scholar, and a martial scholar whose status was not inferior to that of Lu Jiren. It's forced. It's forced by others. The legs are on your own body and you can't stand them. How can they force you? Shut up, stop talking. You did something wrong and you dare to scold me. As soon as Fang Liang's mother-in-law heard this, she immediately rushed towards Fang Liang. Suddenly, the room was filled with howling sounds. This kind of thing happened in Daliu village far more than Fang Liang's family. It can be said that similar scenes happened to many families involved that day. However, these things have nothing to do with Fang Yue. More than 10 days passed and the weather became colder. The north wind is howling, and winter is approaching. Fang Yue's life returned to calm, and it was still the same as before. He didn't want to practice and exercise. He would go into the mountains to hunt wild beasts every once in a while, and pick some herbs and wild products along the way. During this trip to the county seat to take the exam to become a martial arts scholar, his family experienced changes and his status improved in the village, almost as much as that of the old landlord Mr. Lu and his family. Even the elder of the clan named Fang was dismissed by many angry clan members named Fang who held a clan meeting before he could teach him a lesson. Then his father Fang Mu's brother from the clan was selected as the new clan elder. In fact, this is because Fang Mu is determined not to be the clan elder, otherwise Fang Mu should be chosen. It can be seen from this that in this ancient society, changes in status had a huge impact on life or status. This day, early in the morning, little snowflakes fell in front of and behind the houses in Daliu village. Winter is coming, much earlier than usual. Yue, I called you here today because I have something to tell you. Fang Hu, who was holding a tea bowl at Fang Hu's home, said to Fang Yue who just walked in the door. Master, tell me. Fang Yue asked respectfully. Although he became a martial arts scholar and his status was improved, he still respected Fang Hu as always. An old friend of mine from Fucheng sent a letter saying that he is the new captain of the city guard in Fucheng and he is interested in reorganizing the guard army. This is an opportunity and I want to take Ergu to see it. Fang Hu said, the city guards of Fucheng, but if he goes, with that old friend's relationship, there is no problem in running a mid-level officer, if he can accumulate enough merits in the future and exchange them for the court's secret cultivation medicine, then Urgu's cultivation qualifications may not be unable to be improved in the future. Master, I have decided to leave today, and my things have been packed. This is the reason why I asked you to come this time. As for the White Tiger Boxing Gym, you are now a martial arts scholar, and your reputation is even greater than mine. I don't have to worry about your subsequent practice. Fang Yue sighed slightly. In fact, he also wanted to take Fang Yue to Fucheng. It is a pity that Fang Yue is now a martial arts scholar, and he is more likely to be admitted to the martial arts examination in the future, or even go one step further. There is no need to take him to Fucheng, as that will only delay Fang Yue's future development. Master, please take care of yourself. Fang Yue didn't expect Fang Yue to leave, and felt a little reluctant to leave for a moment. In the Wei dynasty, there were 2 capitals and 13 prefectures, and Xianxia County where they were located belonged to Qilin Prefecture. Xianxia County is in the northwest of Qilin Prefecture, more than 2,000 miles away from Qilin Prefecture. Fang Yue might not come back in a short time after he left. Even if they communicated by letter, the correspondence would be calculated on a monthly basis. However, he could not stop Fang Yue. After all, Fang Yue was going to seek a career. When I am not here, if there is anything in the White Tiger Boxing Gym, you can still ask your Uncle Zhang for help. Although your relationship with Shu'er did not work out, your Uncle Zhang will definitely not mind. Fang Yue continued to instruct. In fact, he also knew that Zhang Boyan wanted to match Fang Yue and Zhang Shu. However, he did not intend to do anything about Fang Yue's private life. He only taught martial arts and did not intend to interfere in other matters. Later, when Fang Yue came back to talk about this, he realized that it did not work out. However, it was good. Otherwise, he would not know how to refuse Fang Yue's personality if he was caught in the middle. Afterwards, Fang Yue checked Fang Yue's martial arts skills again. He also taught Fang Yue some tips on martial arts, and more than an hour passed unknowingly. Then, under Fang Yue's gaze, Fang Yue and Fang Ergu left Daliashu village. In the wind and snow, the two walked farther and farther away, and soon disappeared. More than a month passed, and it was midwinter. The weather was even colder. Time flies, God rewards hard work. Aptitude +1. Chapter 52, Improving the Speed of Cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Current qualification, 550 points. Concentrate your mind and look at the text that appears in front of you. Sure enough, the improvement in strength has become negligible. Even if my qualification is improved, the upper limit of strength is now 2,000 pounds, and it should not continue to improve. More than a month ago, when his qualification points were increased to 500 points, Fang Yue found that the strength that could be slowly improved before has become almost impossible to improve. Although there is still some slight improvement, after a month, it is only a single digit. Fang Yue sighed slightly. The improvement of qualification has almost no effect on the improvement of strength. This should be the bottleneck in martial arts practice. It seems that the status quo can only be broken by improving the realm of martial arts. After all, Fang Yue knows that the martial arts practitioners who have reached the bone forging level can reach a strength of about 3,000 pounds, and it is said that it will be higher after the marrow change. So, if you want to continue to improve now, you have to continue to improve your cultivation and strive to practice the skin, forge bones, and even change the marrow as soon as possible. Then, Fang Yue focused his attention on another line of text. Talent, primary boxing mastery, has some effect on improving the practice speed and power of boxing. Then, it's time to improve the talent again. Fang Yue was determined in his heart, and the text in front of him changed immediately. Consume 50 qualification points to get talent. Intermediate boxing mastery. Talent, intermediate boxing mastery, has a certain effect on the practice speed and power of boxing. The talent was upgraded from primary to intermediate, and the effect was also improved. After the talent upgrade was completed, Fang Yue only felt a warm current surging in his body, which flowed through his body and disappeared. The body seemed to have changed, but it seemed that it had not changed. Next, let's try the effect. Fang Yue immediately opened the boxing frame and started practicing the white tiger fist. One punch after another, the hungry tiger descended the mountain. The fierce tiger pounced on the food, and the fierce tiger jumped over the stream, one move after another, extremely skilled. As Fang Yue's boxing speed continued to increase, his strength gradually increased, and bursts of harsh explosions broke out in the air around him. Finally, Fang Yue seemed to have turned into a tiger, bursting fiercely, and then pounced on the wooden stake in front of him. Bang! The powerful force penetrated and easily acted on the wooden stake as thick as a thigh. In a flash, the wooden stake turned into fragments and shot around. The strength has not increased, but the power has increased by 10% compared to before. Retracting his fist, Fang Yue felt the attack just now. The improvement of talent for strength is indeed very powerful, but in a flash, looking at the broken wooden stake, Fang Yue smiled bitterly again. I have to go into the mountains to find another iron tree tomorrow. With his current strength, the ordinary trees around the village can't bear his strength at all. Only the wood called iron tree in the mountains can withstand such a strong force. As for the speed of practice, it should also be increased by 10%. According to the effect of the previous primary boxing proficiency talent, the power increase and the speed of practice are equal, then his current practice speed should also be increased by this much. The days that followed were completely calm. He practiced every day, helped his parents with some housework, went into the mountains to hunt and collect herbs, and then went to Xianxia County to sell them in exchange for secret medicine for practice. In the blink of an eye, another year passed. It has been 3 years since Fang Yue came to this world. Early in the morning of this day, Fang family, today is the day when Fang Yue's family rebuilt the yard and put up the beams of the main house. Although it has only been a year, the land tax and head money saved last year amounted to 20 taels. Plus the silver money saved this year, and the rent paid by the Fang clan who donated land this year. In just 1 year, his family's life has improved visibly. Now that he has extra money, Fang Yue decided to renovate the house at home. The original mud-walled thatched house was replaced with a brick and tile house, and 4 more rooms were built, 2 for Fang Qing to use after getting married, 1 for Fang Yue, and the other as a warehouse. Because they don't have to pay taxes and can collect rent, they can accumulate a lot of grain every year. The original small warehouse is definitely not enough, so they have to build a few more houses to store grain. In the yard, a dozen young men from the same clan are building the last 2 walls. After the walls are built, they can put up the beams. Today is the 6th day of the lunar calendar, which is a good time to start the construction and put up the beams. No need to invite them. A large group of people came to Fang Yue's house today. Mr. Lu is not in the village, but the Lu family manager brought gifts. A large number of people from the Fang family and the newly appointed Fang family elders came to help Fang Yue's family put up the beams. According to the rules, the village elders first knocked on the beams, and at the same time told Fang Yue about the twists and turns in putting up the beams. There are many taboos, do's and don'ts, twists and turns, and rules. Finally, Fang Yue was given a brush and asked to write the date of building the house, his own name, and the name of his father Fang Mu on the beams. In fact, it was supposed to be written by Fang Mu, the head of the family, but he let Fang Yue write it under the coercion of his wife's eyes. After all, Fang Yue was a scholar, and his status was very high in the village, so Lu Juren had to be polite when he met him. In the end, the village elders put a piece of red paper on the beam, which read, "Good luck and great fortune." At noon, the sun was at its hottest in the day. More than a dozen young men of the Fang family had prepared ladders, ropes and other tools, and then people on the walls on both sides began to pull the wooden beams up. However, it seemed that the wood was too heavy, and the workers had to work hard to lift the beams. Fortunately, Fang Yue took action at the last moment. He pulled the wood up by himself, and this strength simply shocked everyone watching around. This is a martial arts scholar. I didn't expect that he had such great strength. The beam was pulled up, and on the opposite wall, Fang's father and eldest brother Cheng, as well as several young men who were working, began to work together. "Good luck, let's go," Chen shouted first, and everyone below started to move the beam with the red paper "Good luck" pasted on it. Among them, Fang Yue was the main one to do it. After all, his strength was too great, and he was just one person, which was comparable to more than a dozen people around him. Once the beam was put down, it should not be moved lightly. After all, it involved some taboos. Fortunately, Fang Yue was strong enough and his vision was very accurate, so the beam was put into the gap reserved in advance. Good luck, good fortune. The location is just right. That with the announcement of the village elder, Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Next, it was to entertain the workers. Chen was generous this time. Although she made a mixed dish, she put pork in it. Everyone was given a few more breads, so this meal could make people full and eat well. Chapter 53 The Liu Family's Qilin Child. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The master is kind. It's a good idea to work for such a master. That's right, if you don't come to help, you will get 3 meals, and there is meat in the lunch. I ate well and full today, and I ate a lot of meat. I don't know if I will have diarrhea when I go back tonight. Look at your useless appearance. Even if you have diarrhea, there will be benefits. Fertilize the crops, maybe we can harvest more next year. We have to thank Master Fang and Master Xiao today. During the meal, the tenants who worked for Fang Yue's family had a happy smile on their faces. They may not be able to eat meat during festivals, but today they can eat it just by helping the master, but they are just envious. No one is jealous. In fact, a large part of the farmers are very simple, just like the part that repays kindness with enmity before, which is only a minority. Besides, now all of them have donated their land to Fang Yue's family. If you really count, Fang Yue's family is the landlord, and they are just tenants who farm. This is a layer of dependence. They can live a good life only by relying on Fang Yue's family. Otherwise, the natural tax of the court alone is enough to make most of them bankrupt, abandon their land, and become refugees. All this is the kindness of the host family, and the kindness of Master Fang. Of course, it is also the credit of Master Fang. These people can't help but look at Fang Yue. He is worthy of being a martial arts scholar. His strength is probably stronger than that of a tiger in the mountains. After climbing the beam, Fang Yue had nothing to do. Other jobs were done by these tenants, and even Fang's father and Fang Cheng who wanted to work were driven to the side. After he was free, Fang Yue came to the willow tree next to his yard. Although many people around would occasionally look at this young master who was the first martial arts scholar in the village. They wanted to see how talented Fang Yue was, but no one dared to step forward. Perhaps even Fang Yue himself did not know that with the progress of his martial arts practice, the increase of strength, and the progress of his white tiger fist practice, he naturally exuded an invisible aura from his whole body. Ordinary people would unconsciously avoid him and would not approach him instinctively. Fang Yue looked at the yard, where more than a dozen tenants were busy. On both sides of the main beam, wood was placed one by one, and then some wooden boards were nailed. Finally, neat and new gray tiles were pasted one by one. There was no need for supervision, and these tenants did a very beautiful job. People in this era are really simple. Fang Yue couldn't help but sigh when he saw it. These tenants didn't even need wages. In their words, being able to build a new house for the master's family was a sign that the master respected them. Besides, they can survive because of Fang Yue's family. How dare they collect wages? Brother Yue, they say you are a martial arts scholar. You must be very good at writing. Can you teach anew? Anew, I want to write a letter to Grandpa. Just when Fang Yue was lost in thought, a timid and cautious voice sounded. Naturally it was Yu's daughter Anu. Today, Yu's daughter also came to Fang Yue's house to help. Because the scene is bigger today, more than 20 people are eating. Chen alone must not be able to handle it. The neighbors around, who have nothing to do at home, will naturally come to help, wash, clean, help cook, and cook. Well, let me see. Fang Yue turned and looked at the little girl not far away from him. Although her complexion looked much better than 2 years ago, her figure was still thin and her development was very slow. Her height was less than half of those children of the same age in her previous life. At this moment, with her head down, a pair of small hands unconsciously intertwined. Hearing Fang Yue's words, Anu seemed to have mustered up a lot of courage and looked at Fang Yue, her eyes full of desire. Okay, brother, you will teach Anu a poem today. Fang Yue said, and then he wrote quiet night thoughts on the ground. While writing, he taught Anu to recite. In just 20 words, he expressed his homesickness. Perhaps Fang Yue felt that he was accustomed to the life here and the affection of his parents, brothers and sisters in this life, but in fact, there was still a little bit of homesickness in his bones. The bed in front is for sleeping, and the window in the back is the window. Fang Yue actually did not have the talent to be a teacher, but with his cultural background, after learning the characters of this world, it was enough for him to teach Anu the poems in his previous life. After about a quarter of an hour, Anu could already write the first 5 words of the first sentence, and she could also recite the whole poem. This kind of learning progress made Fang Yue sigh that if Anu studied literature, she might be able to pass the imperial examination. Anu, come here quickly, why are you causing trouble for Brother Niue again? That at this time, Widow Yue, who had finished her work, was carrying a basket and was about to go home. After looking around, she saw Anu running to Fang Yue. Fang Yue is now unusual. Although her family's status in the past was not good enough to be a military scholar, let alone a military candidate, but now, it has come to this, the family is in decline, her husband died early, and her family dared not associate with her, but Fang Yue helped her when she was in the most difficult time. Now that Fang Yue has become a scholar, she naturally has to respect him. The reputation of their family in the village is not good, and they cannot bring any stain to Fang Yue. A tarnished reputation will affect your future. My mother called me, goodbye Brother Yue. Anu learned a few words, obviously very happy, and his restraint was reduced a lot. After saying that, he jumped up and ran towards Widow Yue. The latter looked at Fang Yue gratefully. Daliashu village entrance, on the road leading to the village, the young master of the Lu family, his book boy, and 2 servants were there, riding a horse, heading towards the village. Young master, in the Xianxia examination in a few days, you will definitely be able to win the first prize in one fell swoop and take the top of the case. Book boy Zhu Mo flattered Lu Chuanji, the young master of the Lu family. A few days ago, Lu Chuanji participated in a poetry meeting held by the younger generation in Xianxia County, and distinguished himself at the meeting with his talent and knowledge. Now that the scholar examination for the liberal arts examination was approaching, he followed his father's wishes and returned to the Lu family's ancestral home in the countryside to worship his ancestors, hoping that his ancestors would bless him and pass the examination. Don't try to flatter me. If you're a young master and I take part in the examination next year, it won't be a big deal if I get the first one. But this year, I'll probably be between the second and third place. Although Lu Chuanji said he was humble, the pride on his face was obvious. Who made his poem name spread throughout Xianxia County, and he was called the Qiliner of the Lu family. He would definitely win the imperial examination this time. In this way, he is also a scholar, and he can't be better than the poor boy in the village who doesn't know what luck he has. But at this time, Lu Chuanji, who was enjoying the flattery of the book boy, vaguely heard a burst of voices coming from the road not far away. It seemed like he was memorizing some words. He looked up and saw a mother and daughter, one big and one small, holding hands and walking on the road. It was Widow Yue and her daughter. Isn't this Widow Yue? Are you preparing to go home? Widow Yue held the basket in one hand and held Anu's little hand in the other, looking at the young Confucian scholar in blue who suddenly came over. I had a vague impression that this person seemed to be Lu Jiran's young master, Lu Chuanji. Chapter 54. How is this possible? Please vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Little Anu, what did you recite just now? Lu Chuanji made a gentle expression and wanted to touch his daughter's head. However, the latter hid in the arms of Yu Guafu. All of a sudden, Lu Chuanji's hand, which had just been stretched out, suddenly stopped awkwardly in the air, and his face immediately became a little ugly. However, in front of Yu Guafu, a rare pretty woman in Daliashu village, and even in the entire Xianxia County, how could Lu Chuanji lose face? Scholars are tolerant, and he will soon be a scholar, so he won't bother with children. I was just reciting the poems that Brother Yue taught me to my mother. Although the smiling guy in front of him didn't look like a good person, Anu was a little afraid from the bottom of his heart, but when he heard what he asked, Anu still raised her head slightly and said proudly. Little Anu, you are talking about Fang Yue, right? What kind of poems can he write? I'm afraid he is lying to you. Lu Chuanji didn't care. The other party was just a martial arts scholar who passed the imperial examination by chance. Who is a martial arts scholar? A vulgar warrior. His thighs may not be as thick as the other party's arms, but in terms of writing and poetry, he is a genius whose poetry is known throughout Xianxia County. Lu Chuanji can easily crush Fang Yue by 10 blocks. Nonsense, you are talking nonsense. Brother, you will not lie to me. The little girl would never allow someone to say that about Fang Yue. She clenched her fists and stared at Lu Chuanji angrily. Humph, little girl, you really don't know how high the sky is. My young master is the most famous poet in Xiahe County. That little old Fang Yue has some strength, but how can his poetry compare to my young master's? Before Lu Chuanji could speak, the book boy beside him quickly opened his eyes for his master. However, when calling out Fang Yue's real name, the book boy looked around inconspicuously, and only after confirming that there were no outsiders did he carefully breathe a sigh of relief. Listen carefully, my young master just wrote a poem a while ago. The moon is full on August 15th, and thousands of families are reunited. After reading it, the book boy continued, how is my young master's poem? It's really excellent. Although the book boy studied with Lu Chuanji, he actually didn't have much knowledge in his stomach. After thinking for a long time, he only came up with 2 excellent ones. At this time, Lu Chuanji also raised his chin, stood with his hands behind his back, and looked like a lonely master. He thought to himself, this time I should be able to stun this widow Yu. This time I should let this little widow look at him differently. Anu was naturally unconvinced, and just said that this poem was not as good as the one Fang Yue taught him. Lu Chuanji's servant was naturally convinced. After a few words of encouragement, Anu recited the poem that he had just recited half of. The moonlight shines in front of the window, I wonder if it is frost on the ground. I look up at the moon and think of my hometown. The tender voice of the child was soft and crisp, and he obviously imitated Fang Yue's tone, with ups and downs, and a serious look, which made people laugh. However, Lu Chuanji, who was originally full of smiles on his face, but after a moment, his face stiffened, his eyes followed with shock, and then stagnated. Ah, how is this possible? How is this possible? This poem, who wrote this poem? How could it be written by Fang Zizi? How could he write a poem? Lu Chuanji's face kept changing, as if he had opened a dye vat. Thoughts turned one after another in his mind, but soon turned into the word plagiarism. Fang Yue had never been to school, how could he write poems? Most likely, he copied the poems from somewhere. It must be like this, it must be like this. Although the book boy beside him also thought that the poem recited by Anu sounded smoother and better, he had to be loyal to his master. How can this poem be compared with our young master's? Each sentence of the poem written by our young master has 7 words, while the one you recited has only 5 words, a total of 8 words less, which is far different. The book boy shook his head and tried hard to imitate the way those scholars and candidates who had seen him comment on poems and finally added a sentence he had learned. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Widow Yu couldn't help laughing, covering her mouth and laughing softly. The clothes on her chest swayed with the wind, and her graceful demeanor might melt even a heart of stone. Obviously, she was amused by the comparison of the number of words in the poem. However, at this moment, although Lu Chuanji felt that it was a poem copied by Fang Yue, it must have been written by a famous scholar, so his poems naturally dared not be compared. Thinking of this, he finally couldn't help it and hit the book boy next to him on the head. What nonsense, who told you to talk? What word count, who taught you to compare like this, bastard, why don't you shut up? Lu Chuanji stunned his own book boy in an instant. How could his young master hit someone? Then he left without looking back. Young master, wait for me, wait for me. Seeing this, the book boy hurriedly chased after him even though his head hurt. After a small episode, there was no one here soon. More than 10 days passed, the new house of the Fang family has basically been built, and the entire yard has been expanded by more than 2 times. There are 2 yards in total, 8 rooms, blue brick walls, and gray tile roofs. Although the scale is not as large as Lu Jiran's house, the shape is because Fang Yue designed it in imitation of the quadrangle, so it looks much more regular than Lu Jiran's house. Of course, Fang Yue also built a small martial arts training ground for himself in the backyard. However, in fact, Fang Yue usually goes to Fang Hu's house to practice martial arts. Fang Hu went to the capital city, and his yard was left to Fang Yue to take care of. On this day, a winter snow fell, and snowflakes fell. After Fang Yue finished practicing martial arts, he waited for the sweat on his body to evaporate and changed into dry clothes. He suddenly felt like fishing, so he took the fishing rod and went out. Although winter is the dry season of Xiahe, if you walk a little further and go further downstream, there is still a body of water. This was originally a large lake with a radius of 1 kilometer, but now it is half the size. There was only a thin layer of ice on the river surface. Fang Yue took a look and found that the water was shallow and he couldn't catch fish. Just when he felt a little disappointed, he saw a wooden boat on the shore. He immediately grabbed the wooden boat and put it in the water. Then he rowed to the center of the lake. First, he made a nest, and after doing all the work, he drank a sip of wine. He waved the fishing rod and threw it into the water. After a while, a fish was hooked. Fang Yue did not expect to be so lucky today and to have a catch so quickly. So he put away the fishing rod immediately. The long, silvery fish fell into the boat. Looking at the struggling silverfish, snowflakes were falling at this moment, and Fang Yue suddenly became interested for some reason. This is really a lonely boat with a straw hat and raincoat, fishing alone in the cold river snow. The voice was not small, but it was very penetrating. It spread far away. Chapter 55 Urging Marriage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Did Fang Yue really write that poem? Impossible, definitely impossible. How could such a crude warrior write a poem? Since returning home that day, Lu Chuanji has searched through the books in the old house, but he couldn't find the few verses he heard, so he wrote a letter to Wen Donglu, the headmaster of Xianxia County College. Wen Donglu is a famous scholar, even in the entire Shenyang prefecture. He is well educated, especially in his early years when he traveled to the 2 capitals and 13 prefectures of the Wei dynasty, and what he saw and heard was far beyond ordinary people. The verses heard from Yu Guafu, and they are such poems that can be regarded as famous poems throughout the ages. If they were written by ancient people, then Wen Donglu, the headmaster of the college, would definitely know. But today, the headmaster's reply surprised Lu Chuanji. Wen Donglu didn't know where the verses came from, and after checking, he said with certainty that the verses must have been written by modern people, and even asked who the poet was. Saying that he would visit him in person. After reading the letter, Lu Chuanji felt bad. Who did Wen Donglu want to visit in person? Fang Yue, the peasant from Daliashu village. Thinking of Fang Yue, he had become a Wu Xiucai and had achieved more than him. At the same time, the status of a Wu Xiucai was higher than that of a Wen Xiucai, and to some extent, it was not inferior to that of a Wu Juren. Even his father had always told him to maintain a good relationship with the Fang family and resolve the previous misunderstanding. Moreover, he had given the Fang family generous gifts several times. It was like a top student who had always been the top student in the class since childhood, but was surpassed by a poor student in the class during the college entrance examination. Moreover, this poor student had been beaten because of him before. However, the education he received since childhood made him understand how to be smooth in dealing with people and maintain superficial kindness. Lu Chuanji felt depressed whenever he thought of Fang Yue. Today, he went out to relax while it was snowing. Before he knew it, he came to this lake. As soon as he stood still, he saw a solitary boat floating on the lake. With a fisherman sitting on the bow of the boat, the man sat upright, motionless, with snowflakes covering his body, like a layer of snow clothes. This scene made him feel poetic, and he wanted to take advantage of this excitement to write a poem, but at this moment, a 5-character quatrain floated over. Fishing alone in the cold river snow. This is another poem that has been passed down through the ages, and this scene is right in front of you. Lu Chuanji was stunned for a moment. The scene in the poem happened right in front of him. It must have been written by that person. This person must be a great sage and scholar living in seclusion in the countryside. And he happened to meet this person and heard about it, which is the so-called chance meeting. This is opportunity. If he met this person, wouldn't it be a good story? If it is spread out in the future, his reputation will rise with the tide. If he is lucky, maybe he can also worship a famous teacher today, which would be even better. Thinking of this, Lu Chuanji's mood instantly improved. I can't disturb the great sage now. I have to be respectful. In the future, I will definitely spread the good name of Lu Chuanji standing in the snow by the lake. Lu Chuanji thought to himself, and even put his umbrella aside, letting the snowflakes fall on him. Soon, he also became a snowman. I don't know how long it took. Lu Chuanji felt that he was almost frozen. However, in order to make a good show, he still gritted his teeth and persisted. It would be worth it if the great sage saw that he was so sincere. Finally, the boat in the middle of the lake moved. It rowed towards him. Teacher, please accept your disciple. Lu Chuanji was trembling with cold, and his eyes were a little blurry. He saw the man in the lake coming, and before he could see his face clearly, he knelt down quickly. "Hey, Master Lu, what are you doing? You can't do that, why are you kneeling down?" A familiar voice came, and Lu Chuanji felt as if he had heard it somewhere before, and the voice was immature and young, totally different from the great scholar with grey beard and noble temperament in his impression. "Master, why did you kneel down to Master Fang?" At this time, the voice of the servant reached Lu Chuanji's ears. It was because he saw Lu Chuanji had been out for a long time and didn't come back, so he came out to look for him. When he came here, he happened to see this scene. Lu Chuanji was struck by lightning, and Fang Yue gradually became clear in his blurred eyes. He actually knelt down to Fang Yue. And he was seen by his big-mouthed servant, so it wouldn't take long for the whole village to know, which was really embarrassing. When Lu Chuanji thought of this, his blood rushed up and he fainted. "Have you heard that a few days ago, the young master of the Lu family wanted to become Master Fang's apprentice, and stood in the snow for 2 hours? Guess what, in the end, the young master of the Lu family fainted from excitement." In the alley of Daliashu village, the women who were basking in the sun and doing manual farm work were naturally busy with their hands and mouths. That's how rural women are. They love to gossip about the family affairs of the East and West. During this period, Fang Yue has always been the protagonist. Today, the young master of Mr. Lu's family was added, which naturally made it more attractive. This can't be true, right? Didn't the young master of the Lu family go to school? Why did he become the disciple of Master Fang? A woman asked in disbelief. Why not? I tell you, don't tell anyone else. This is from the Lu family, how can it be false? Seeing that she was suspected, another woman quickly explained. Hearing that it was spread by the Lu family, they all believed it immediately. At this time, a carriage passed by these women. It was Lu Chuanji sitting inside. He was wrapped in a quilt, drinking ginger soup, and a few words outside the carriage still fell into his ears. At that time, a mouthful of ginger soup spit out. There was only shame, anger, and resentment on his face. However, all this had nothing to do with Fang Yue. After moving into the new house, the Fang family's life was getting better and better. During this period, more and more people came to Fang Yue to propose marriage. Most of them were wealthy families in several surrounding villages. But how could Fang Yue get married now, even though he had always disagreed? But Chen, who doted on him very much, didn't buy it at this time. "Zier, you are not young anymore. The 7th son in the village had a son when you were this old." Chen said naggingly. Well, Fang Yue couldn't help but have a headache. These days, he has been told by Chen many times. Only now did he realize the horror of being urged to get married in his previous life. "Mom, my brother hasn't married yet." Fortunately, Fang Yue brought up his brother Fang Cheng in the end. He said that his elder brother hadn't married yet, and if he married first, it would be against etiquette and disrupt the rules. With that, Chen's firepower output target immediately became Fang Cheng. "You, Fang Cheng, what are you eating? Why don't you quickly marry the daughter of the Fuchuan family? If it doesn't work out within a month, you won't eat in the future." Fang Cheng, who was eating, was stunned immediately. How could the fire burn him? Chapter 56 Assisting Defense, please read and vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies, and more than half a year has passed. During this period, Fang Cheng married the daughter of the Fuchuan family in the same village back home, adding another family member to the Fang family. However, I thought that Fang Yue would have no excuses now and would obediently listen to her arrange the blind date, but Fang Yue still found an excuse to excuse himself, saying that he was going to take the martial arts examination this year. You must concentrate on preparation and practice. If you delay your martial arts practice, you will have to test this level when the time comes. If you fail, you will not be told. There is no guarantee that you will not be injured. Those words finally frightened Mrs. Chen. Fang Yue finally calmed down. He concentrated on practicing martial arts. After half a year, Fang Yue became more and more diligent in his cultivation. Under the vibration of the fist force, the skin all over his body felt like a faint metallic texture, almost like copper skin. I scratched it with a knife. There was only a faint white mark, but the skin was not scratched. Intermediate boxing proficiency. The description only says it has a slight improvement effect, but in fact the effect is amazing. Fang Yue thought about his feelings practicing martial arts for such a long time, although there was no comparison, and there was no narration by Fang Hu, but he was no longer a beginner who didn't know anything. Combining the practice speeds of people with the same martial arts qualifications, he basically calculated that his own practice speed was at least twice as fast as those people's. Therefore, he has now basically mastered the second level of martial arts, bronze skin, which was originally only able to be practiced in 3 to 5 years. At his current speed, he will be able to complete it in another 2 months. This speed is not slow. It seems that he may really be able to catch up with the imperial examinations for those who take the martial arts examination this year. Thinking of this, even Fang Yue couldn't help but feel a little excited. On this day, he was practicing martial arts in the backyard. 2 middle-aged government officials wearing black uniforms with plain knives hanging from their waists came to the door. Fang Xiaocai, this is an official letter from the Yamen. I hope Fang Xiaocai can help capture the fugitive. The leader handed an official document with the official seal of the Yamen to Fang Yue. Fang Yue lowered his head and quickly read the official letter. Of course, he also looked at the seal specifically. After confirming that it was genuine, he looked at the 2 people, cupped his hands and said, I already know that I will keep an eye on this area of Daliashu village. As long as I see that person, I will definitely inform you too. The 2 government officials nodded, and then told Fang Yue some about the person's appearance and characteristics, as well as the martial arts he practiced, but in the end, he still warned Fang Yue, if you find a thief, you must entangle him and never let him escape. I understand. Fang Yuegong said, cupping his hands. The 2 sides exchanged a few more words, and then Fang Yue sent the 2 of them off. Wait until these 2 people are completely gone. Unexpectedly, Changsheng actually killed the county tax collector and fled. Fang Yue's face showed a sigh of relief. It turned out that the other party was so persecuting the county inspector Lu at the assessment site. I annoyed the other party and was arranged by the other party to collect taxes. This is to let Changsheng try it for himself. If this person is kind, then it is definitely impossible to accept the Qi Tian Fu. That would give Mr. Lu a reason to punish Changsheng, and if the other party can collect them all, then Changsheng will inevitably become as cruel as a cruel official. In this way, you will either be punished for failing to complete the tax collection task, or you will become the person you hate most after completing the tax collection. Although this county magistrate is said to be a martial artist, he is really proficient in this method, regardless of success or failure. Changsheng's state of mind will be greatly impacted. Attacking the heart first is enough to completely destroy Changsheng, and now, as expected, Changsheng finally became a wanted criminal. Fang Yue couldn't help but sigh. I just warned myself in my heart that I can't push forward when my strength is insufficient, and I should think twice before doing anything. Remember not to be arrogant because you have a little force. Nowadays, it is the right way to gain fame and improve your status through martial arts. However, you must not fight, and keep yourself first in everything. Fang Yue secretly set a warning lesson for himself. He is not alone, he has parents, brothers and sisters. Naturally, you cannot take risks and waste your life. That is extremely unwise, just like Changsheng, who originally had a bright future, but now he has gotten himself to this point because of something that cannot be changed at all. It will definitely bring trouble to my family and my parents. It's really unwise. After thinking about it, Fang Yue also completely relaxed. Anyway, he would not go up to fight Changsheng head-on for this Yamen task. After all, Changsheng is not weak in strength. Although he should not be his opponent, there are countless cases of life and death fights where the weak defeat the strong. He couldn't be careless. Your life is yours, but your achievements may not be yours. More than 10 days have passed since the Yamen assigned the investigation task. The area around Daliashu village is still as peaceful as ever. There was no accident, which made Fang Yue, who had been mentally depressed for a few days, think that maybe Changsheng had not fled towards Daliashu village. Little master, it's not good. I've been robbed. I really have been robbed. After Tian Fang Yue finished practicing martial arts, he wandered in the fields with nothing to do. At this moment, panicked sounds came from afar. Looking up, I saw a farmer running from the direction of the village. My 2 chickens were stolen by some god-damned person. Young master, you have to make the decision for me. That when the visitor saw Fang Yue, he immediately knelt down, face full of anxiety, sweat dripping from forehead. since he donated the land to Fang Yue's family last year. Fang Adong felt that life would get better in the future, then he prepared to have another baby with his wife, so he gritted his teeth and bought 2 chickens to raise. When the time comes, they can lay eggs to nourish his wife. Who would have thought that when he finished farm work today, he went home and saw that the 2 chickens he raised were stolen, but after asking all the neighbors, no one saw who the thief was. He asked the elders to seek justice, but after searching for 2 hours and looking for good families, he still couldn't find it. In the end, he had no choice but to come to Fang Yue. Fang Yue is a martial arts scholar, and in the eyes of these villagers, he is a capable person. He had no choice. Otherwise he would not dare to bother Fang Yue. Well, let's go to your house first. Fang Yue nodded and followed Fang Adong to his house to see the scene. 2 chickens are definitely a huge fortune for ordinary farmers. You know, his family may not be able to eat an egg in a month before. Soon, the 2 came to Fang Adong's house. There were still many people here, obviously waiting for Fang Yue, wanting to see how Fang Adong's chicken was lost. Fang Yue just walked into the yard and came to the chicken coop, and immediately saw a faint shoe print on the inconspicuous ground. The chicken stolen by the warrior. The next moment, Fang Yue's eyes narrowed slightly. Please read, please read, please read. Chapter 57, Sudden Encounter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The person who does it is neat and tidy. Originally there shouldn't be any flaws, but now there are traces here. Could it be that the thief was injured? Thinking of this, Fang Yue couldn't help but think of the wanted Changsheng. Since Changsheng has fled to the nearby area, it is very likely that he will appear in Daliashu village. Could it be Changsheng? Fang Yue glanced at the faint trace, then looked at the direction the other party left and couldn't help but think, forget it, whoever he is, since he stole instead of robbing, it means that the person has not yet treated human life lightly, so as long as the other party doesn't cross the line, he will naturally not care. As for reporting to the yamen, should we report it just because the tenant lost 2 chickens? The yamen didn't say whether he paid attention to him or not. If someone came and found nothing in the end, wouldn't it just cause trouble for himself? Sir, did you see anything? The chicken thief killed that day was so abominable. Fang Adong saw Fang Yue standing by the chicken coop, just standing there. He waited for a while, but he was too anxious, so he couldn't help but ask, but after he said the words, he regretted it. How could he talk to the scholar like this? The young master didn't ask, so he asked the young master first. Isn't this unruly? But Fang Yue didn't care, or he didn't realize it at all. He replied, that person is not from our village. He should have gone far away by now. From a time perspective, it has been 2 hours. Even if he walked, he could travel dozens of miles, let alone the chicken thief suspected of being Changsheng, who had martial arts skills, and would have fled far away. What can we do? It's hard to raise chickens. What can we do? My mother-in-law still hopes to use eggs to replenish her body. Fang Adong did not doubt what Fang Yue said. They had searched all over the village but couldn't find it. Some people in the village even suspected that his family had eaten the chicken, and then started shouting in the village to catch the thief. However, similarly, the surrounding villagers also did not doubt what Fang Yue said. Fang Yue was Mr. Wu Xiucai, the largest landowner in the village besides Lu Ju's family. What he said is definitely correct. Really, I didn't expect that our village would be attacked by outsiders. Oh, everyone has to be careful these days and don't give thieves a chance. If I catch that thief, I'll beat him to death. The surrounding villagers were also talking a lot, but after a while these people started to praise Fang Yue again. However, the young master is still capable. After just a short while, I realized that the chicken thief had already escaped. That's right, that's right. This is the first martial arts scholar in the history of our village. The daughter of my 3rd eldest sister-in-law has a pretty face, so she should be worthy of the young master. The daughter of your 3rd eldest sister-in-law. Bah, her waist is as thick as a bucket and as black as the coals in the stove. How dare you talk about it here? Having a thick waist is good for childbirth, and having dark skin is good for working. Why can't I say that? It's just that the village women around them are talking and they don't know where to go. Fang Yue, who was standing next to him, was confused and couldn't stay any longer. Left here immediately, because warriors suspected of being Changsheng were haunting Daliashu village. Fang Yue told his parents, brother, and sister not to leave the village in the near future, otherwise they would stay at home. Although they were a little confused, seeing how serious Fang Yue was speaking, they all listened. In the past 10 days, Fang's father and Fang Cheng, who couldn't help but go to the fields to do farm work, were sorting farm tools at home. Mrs. Chen no longer went to the Lu family to help cook, nor did she go out to the village to chat with the neighbor women. My elder sister Fang Lan stayed at home quietly, and of course she was still used to having an abortion. In her words, she couldn't sit still if she didn't do anything, seeing that the whole family is so simple. Even though life has gotten better now, life is basically the same as before, and not much has changed. Life is good like this. Fang Yue was very satisfied. This was exactly what he wanted and what he wanted to protect. A 10-stone bow and arrow is as powerful as a firearm. It can penetrate an adult tiger within 30 feet. I'm afraid that even a warrior who has mastered the 3 concepts of martial arts and has bronze skin and iron bones would not dare to fight with his flesh and blood body. Fang Yue didn't go out for more than 10 days, but he specially made this 10-stone bow at home. Of course he wanted to make a stronger bow, but he found that among the materials he could find currently, there was no material with such high strength. If the power exceeds 10 stones, it will be damaged after just a few uses. Even a 10-stone bow and arrow will break after 50 shots. After making the bow and arrow, Fang Yue put the bow and arrow on his back and went out. It's been a while since I went hunting in the mountains. Besides, more than 10 days have passed and nothing happened in the village. Maybe Changsheng has fled to other places and is no longer near Daliashu village. Therefore, Fang Yue's life returned to normal. You have to hunt when you should, and you still can't afford the secret medicine needed for cultivation just by relying on the small amount of rent from the tenants. Only by keeping hunting and harvesting well can you guarantee a monthly dose of the secret skin-removing medicine. Ah, no wonder the Wei dynasty did not ban martial arts. No wonder the boxing gym did not have such strict control over martial arts techniques. Because, as long as you master the secret medicine, it is equivalent to mastering the path for martial artists to rise. Walking on the quiet mountain road, Fang Yue thought about his hard hunting in the past few years, and most of the wealth he earned in the end had to be sent to the martial arts gym. It's just that things in the world are all like this, the strong prey on the weak, and it seems that he spent a lot of money in exchange for secret medicine. But he also became stronger through practice. After a few hours, Fang Yue came to a hut near the line. This was built by him to store some supplies and rest during hunting. Huh? No, there's someone inside. However, just when he was about 10 feet away from the hut, Fang Yue's eyes shrank slightly. He found that the mechanism originally arranged on the door of his hut had been opened by someone, and he also sensed that there was someone in the wooden house. Fang Yue immediately bent his bow and drew his arrow, staring at the hut cautiously, and slowly retreated several feet to keep himself at a relatively safe distance. Ahem, brother Fang, don't be nervous, it's me. A weak voice came from the house, and it was obvious that the people inside had also discovered him, but the man didn't show his head, and obviously didn't believe Fang Yue. Why did brother Chen get here? Forget it. This is not my business. Considering that we have known each other for a long time, Brother Chen should leave here quickly and leave Xianxia County. Fang Yue said in a deep voice, but the bow and arrow in his hand was always in an activated state. Chapter 58, Sensing Qi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It sounds like the two of them are talking in a friendly manner, but in fact, no one trusts the other. In Fang Yue's eyes, Changsheng was a passionate young man who had once spoken up for the farmers who had to endure the hardship of tax increases and even couldn't make a living at the martial arts examination site, but now he has become a wanted thief who killed officials and rebelled. No one can say for sure, and no one can guarantee that Changsheng's temper is still the same as before. Maybe, as long as Fang Yue gets close and reveals a flaw, he will be attacked by the other party without hesitation. And if Changsheng is open and aboveboard, then why should he be so secretive and dare not show up now, hiding in the thatched hut, not showing his figure, is not still on guard? Ahem, brother Fang is willing to let me go. If I remember correctly, Chen's head is now worth 3,000 taels. Changsheng's voice was still weak, and his tone was full of self-mockery. Fang Yue's breathing was slightly choked when he heard this. 3,000 taels of silver, if used for martial arts training, by 3 doses of skin-grinding secret medicine every month, it would allow him to finish grinding his skin and start forging his bones in more than a month. Even the remaining silver could continue to support his long-term cultivation. This was a fortune that would make many people jealous. Even Fang Yue, who had already become a martial arts scholar, was no exception. However, he was conservative, or rather cowardly. As long as he had enough time, his martial arts cultivation would surely go further and become stronger. Then wealth and status would naturally be obtained. Why bother fighting Changsheng here for life and death? Brother Chen, you are overthinking. In that case, I will leave now and pretend that I have never met Brother Chen. Fang Yue continued to retreat carefully, and the bow and arrow in his hand were still not relaxed, still guarding against Changsheng. Huh, Brother Fang. Don't play tricks. Do you think I will believe you? You look down on these silvers, and it seems that you are here for that secret book. I don't believe you don't want the secret book that can be cultivated to the realm of qi sensing above the 4th level of martial arts. Changsheng's voice was full of irony, and he had fallen to such a point now. Actually, it was because of this secret book. Each secret book that can be cultivated to the level of qi sensing above the 4th level of martial arts is a priceless treasure, at least in Xianxia County. Among the major martial arts halls and several major families, only the top few forces have secret books of the qi sensing realm. Others like the White Tiger Fist Hall do not have such secret books. Therefore, such secret books are enough to establish a force in Xianxia County. Changsheng does not believe that Fang Yue cannot be tempted. Although he does not know where Fang Yue got the news from, he does not believe that the other party cannot be tempted. He does not believe that Fang Yue will be willing to leave after discovering him. Is Fang Yue going to find reinforcements, or is he thinking of something? Qi sensing secret book. Fang Yue was slightly stunned when he heard this. He did not expect Changsheng to say this. Could it be that Changsheng became a wanted criminal, and there was another reason? Qi sensing. The realm above the 4th level of martial arts, this realm Fang Yue had only heard of. Moreover, it seems that there is no warrior in the whole Xianxia County who has reached the realm of sensing qi. Even the strongest person in the open, Mr. Liu from the county government, is said to be a warrior who has reached the great success of Yisui. Even in Xianxia County, there are only a few forces that have the secret book of sensing qi. However, as to why there is no warrior in the whole Xianxia County who has reached the realm of sensing qi, this is not something Fang Yue can understand. Originally, he didn't think anything, but now that he heard Changsheng say this, Fang Yue felt that there was something strange in this matter. And he also realized that perhaps it was because of the existence of this secret book that Changsheng was wanted and the amount of the reward was so high. As expected, you are also here for the secret book. Then do it. We are all warriors, just do it openly. What conspiracy is there? Changsheng laughed, and at this time, he walked out of the house. He held a wrought iron rod in his hand, and there was a faint trace of blood on his other arm. Obviously the injury has not healed completely. His eyes were fixed on Fang Yue, revealing a desperate madness. I am seriously injured now, and I am no match for you. But my life is not so easy to take. When encountering a big change, people's personalities often change drastically. Whether you believe it or not, I am not interested in you. Fang Yue shook his head, then gradually retreated, and finally disappeared in the forest. The fact that Changsheng did not hurt anyone in Daishu village again proved that this person was not crazy yet. He would naturally not take action. After not seeing Fang Yue's figure, Changsheng finally couldn't stand, then he swayed and fell to the ground. It was obvious that Changsheng's injuries were more serious than he showed. Actually, he retreated. Just now, if he had taken a few more steps forward, it would have been fine. Changsheng's eyes were a little regretful, but also a little disappointed. Just at this time, there were bursts of sound in the forest again. Soon, several Yamen runners came out. It was obvious that these Yamen runners had their own abilities and found this place. Changsheng, why don't you put down your weapons and surrender immediately? You still have a chance to survive. If you resist, today will be your death. The leading Yamen runner was tall and strong, with muscles bursting all over his body, holding a machete in his hand. A bunch of thieves. Don't even think about it. Even if I die, I won't let you off easy. Changsheng immediately became excited, and then he forced himself to stand up and glared at the yamen runners who surrounded him. "Humph, you are seriously injured. If you don't get treated, you will die." The yamen runners approached cautiously, even though Changsheng looked very bad, as if a gust of wind could blow him down. However, these yamen runners did not rush forward carelessly. Instead, they dispersed and approached carefully. It was obvious that these people still wanted to capture him alive, otherwise Changsheng would die if they were shot with crossbows from a distance. "Huh, then come on," Changsheng shouted frantically, but perhaps because of his injury, he spurted out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, several yamen runners who were close rushed over, but in just a moment, a scream rang out. Only those yamen runners who were eager to make contributions had bloodlines on their bodies. In an instant, they suffered a serious blow. At the same time, Changsheng, who was originally weak, suddenly jumped up, and the iron stick in his hand swept across like a dragon. The several yamen runners who were already seriously injured by the ambush could not avoid such an attack at all. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of bones breaking rang out one after another, and then these yamen runners completely lost their voices. In front of the thatched cottage, there were only Changsheng and another yamen runner who walked a step slower. Chapter 59, Secrets and Show-Off. Please read on. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There was a look of pity in Changsheng's eyes, and he didn't know whether the tang catcher was timid and cherished his life, or was cautious. In short, he took a step slower, avoided the trap, and also avoided Changsheng's counterattack. "Wonderful, really wonderful. Even I didn't see the trap you laid." Tang Baotou stared at Changsheng jokingly, holding the knife casually in his right hand, and walked towards the target step by step as if taking a walk. "It's a pity, but I know that you, Changsheng, are by no means a person who gives up easily. You may appear to be a righteous person, but in fact you just want to make a name for yourself. It looks like a passionate person, but in fact it's all about fame and reputation. I'm afraid I didn't expect Master Lu to ask you to collect taxes." Tang Kaptu sneered, seemingly talking a lot of nonsense, but in fact he was using words to attack Changsheng. In his opinion, this Wu Xiaocai, who had offended Mr. Lu and was sent to collect taxes, would be finished in his lifetime. After all, this person is afraid that he will not receive enough land tax at all, and he will definitely be sent to the northwest to join the army. It's just that I didn't expect that this person got a secret book of Qi sensing realm by chance, and ended up in this situation today. Hand over the secret book and I will spare your life. Tang Kaptu suddenly stopped and shouted loudly, but at this time his body moved at the same time. The simple sword in his hand was powerful and heavy, and it was extremely fast and fierce. It cut through the air. The copper ring on the back of the knife rubbed against the air, emitting bursts of harsh buzzing sounds. The next moment, Tang Baotou's figure appeared in front of Changsheng. Simple and unpretentious, the simple knife cuts down with force. Changsheng was already seriously injured, but just now he tried his best to kill all the government officials, which only made him more injured. If Tucker hadn't been physically strong, he would have been unable to hold on long ago. How can I still hold on at this moment? Facing the oncoming sword light, he was unable to resist at all, and the bin iron bar in his hand was easily split open. Bang! At this moment, there was an explosion. Tang Baotou only felt a huge force coming from the pu dao in his hand. His tiger's mouth was numb, and the pu dao in his hand was directly knocked away. Faced with such a situation, Tang Baotou did not dare to see who was attacking him. Relying on instinct, the whole person suddenly dodged to one side and flew out 7 or 8 feet away before he breathed a sigh of relief. Through the corner of his eye, he saw that it was a sharp arrow that knocked his sword away. The arrow had broken into pieces. It was obvious that the power of the arrow just now was very powerful. At least it's a 10-stone bow, and the person's strength is at least the 3rd level of martial arts, bone forging pass. Is it Changsheng's helper or someone else who is eyeing this piece of meat? Tang Baotou thought for a moment, then took the opportunity to rush out towards the dense forest ahead and escape directly. After a while, it was confirmed that Tang Kaptu had really escaped. Fang Yue walked out of his hiding place. The Yaman's catcher deliberately tricked and killed the accompanying catchers. It seems that he wanted to keep the Qi sensing secret book for himself. Fang Yue saw clearly just now that when the police officers surrounded Changsheng, the chief police officer must have discovered something and deliberately did not step forward, and when Changsheng took action, the catcher also looked like he was watching a show. After all, if he had intervened at that time, he might have been able to save one or two agents. Therefore, what this person said about not being able to respond in time was completely empty talk. Unfortunately, the head catcher just now reacted too quickly and escaped too decisively. Fang Yue had no chance to shoot him, otherwise, the man would not be allowed to escape. As for chasing after him, Fang Yue still understands the principle of not pursuing a poor enemy, regardless. If there is a chance in the future, I will definitely not let this person go. After confirming safety, Fang Yue approached Changsheng. He briefly checked the other person's condition and found that the person was already dead. The old injury recurred, and he died as a result of the desperate blow he just took. Fang Yue checked and found that the other party had no breathing and pulse, and he had died at some point. However, since he is dead, he didn't have to worry about whether to save this person or not. Immediately, I thought of the secret book on sensing qi. After Fang Yue rummaged around on the other party's body, he found a book made of some kind of beast skin. Wu Tu Zhengong, I didn't expect it to have a secret book. This was an unexpected surprise. I had only planned to go hunting in the mountains. I didn't expect to meet Changsheng, and I didn't expect what happened next. After taking the secret book, Fang Yue carefully erased the traces he had left. Another fire was set and the thatched house was burned down. Finally, Changsheng's body was disposed of, creating the illusion that the other party had escaped, and then he left quietly. The head catcher is still alive. I'm afraid someone from the government will come here again soon. A few hours later, the sky was completely dark. Outside the thatched house at the junction of mountains and forests, there were several more government officials wearing soap clothes. Among them was Tang Kaptu, who had escaped before. However, Tang Kaptu's status was obviously the lowest among this group of government officials. Is it here? It seems that the person has escaped. Keep chasing me. That the leader simply checked the traces at the scene, and then directed the people around him to continue tracking deeper into the mountain forest. Looking at the direction, it was exactly the direction of the previous suspicion formation. When I was pregnant with Zhuer, he was restless and always kicked around. It turned out that this was the reason. My son is really a natural martial arts scholar. Also, my Zhuer has been smart since he was young. You don't know that he stopped wetting the bed when he was 6 years old. Chen, who was enjoying the cool air at the gate of the courtyard, was chatting and laughing with several ants. In the past, Chen didn't like chatting. She was busy all day and tired to death, and she had no time to chat. Now that the family's life has become better and better, Chen has gradually become free. When she has nothing to do, she likes to chat with the ants around. The topic is of course Fang Yue, after all, who made her Zhuer the first martial arts scholar in the village. Mom. Just at this time, Fang Yue's voice rang. Chen immediately turned around and saw Fang Yue, although she felt a little strange in her heart. Why did Zhuer go out in the morning and come back in the evening this time? But Chen didn't ask much. Zhuer had grown up and she couldn't control him. It's just right that Zhuer is back. Tell me quickly, what's so good about this Wu Xiaocai? As Chen spoke, her eyebrows raised. She couldn't help showing off. Since she had a son, she naturally wanted to show off every day. She wished that the whole world knew about her Zhuer's goodness. Then, maybe if his reputation spread, she could find a good marriage. Chen's idea was very simple. She spared no effort to publicize Fang Yue's goodness in order to find a good marriage for Fang Yue. Chapter 60 Wu Earth. Sensing Qi. Please read on. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh, from now on, those 300 acres of farmland will be exempted from land tax forever, and corvée taxes will no longer have anything to do with being at home. Fang Yue was naturally happy to cooperate with his mother, satisfying his mother's little desire to show off, and spoke. Fang Yue said something, and the ladies and aunties around them exclaimed, obviously shocked by what Fang Yue said. As for her mother, Mrs. Chen, the smile on her face became even stronger. There is more pride in his eyes, sweeping around and looking at each neighbor. His eyes seem to be talking. Look, this is my pig, how capable he is. Also, I am now a Wu Xiaocai, and the yamen still gets a subsidy of 2 taels of silver every month. Although it is not much, it will be paid for 3 consecutive years. Fang Yue continued, although 2 taels of silver is really nothing in his eyes, but it is issued by the Yamen. In the eyes of ordinary people, it is a huge benefit. With 2 taels of silver, you can eat a lot of meat. No wonder so many boys in the village have been clamoring to learn martial arts this year. It turns out that Mr. Wu Xiaocai is so capable. Fang Mu's family, you are truly blessed. Yes, I'm so jealous. My second aunt is from Zhoujia village next door, and her little daughter is. Several aunts and ladies around praised Chen and Fang Yue. In the end, someone inevitably got involved in Fang Yue's marriage. After all, if Fang Yue is such an outstanding person, who has a daughter who doesn't want to marry him, even if you don't have one in your own family, it's okay if your relatives have one. As long as you can become relatives with the Fang Yue family, then you won't be able to fall behind in the future, right? Stop it, my little pig wants to marry a fairy in the sky. Fortunately, just when Fang Yue was feeling embarrassed, Mrs. Chen stopped the enthusiastic aunt and aunt around her, although in fact, she also wanted to arrange a marriage for Fang Yue as soon as possible, so that the old Fang family could continue the family line and be full of descendants. However, what Fang Yue said to him before was naturally remembered by her. Wuzhou people did not talk about marriage before, however. The praise and envy of people around her kept the smile on Chen's face. From Changsheng. Even after she finally returned home, she still smiled for a long time. Damn it, what happy thing happened today? Father Fang asked. What are you doing here? You haven't seen Sure come back. Why don't you hurry up and light the fire? I have to cook for Sure. Not long after, a meal specially prepared for Fang Yue was served. The meal is very rich, with 4 dishes and 1 soup. There are 2 more meat dishes, of course. They are all made of cured meat jerky. They are all preserved meat jerky from the prey that Fang Yue hunted. After all, this is a relatively remote countryside, no one kills pigs every day. If you really want to eat fresh pork, it is still difficult. While eating, Mrs. Chen watched from the side and asked Fang Yue whether this dish was delicious and whether that dish was too salty. Every word was filled with concern and love. Well, in the end Fang Yue ate all the food alone. Mom, I'm hungry too. But it was the eldest brother Fang Cheng who was stimulated by Fang Yue. You can eat whatever you want. I ate 4 pieces of bread for dinner, which is more than our cows eat. You can eat whatever you want. Don't you see that you are getting fat? Chen immediately glared and frightened Fang Cheng into choking back the rest of his words. At night, Fang Yue was in the room, an oil lamp was on. The window was half open, and the gentle evening breeze blew slowly. It had just rained a few days ago, and the fragrance of the soil was wafting. The sounds of crickets were heard one after another, and occasionally there were a few barks of local dogs. Fang Yue was currently looking through the animal skin book in his hand. Vitality. Induction, Qi pulse. Aggregation becomes the Qi of Wutu. Fang Yue flipped through the secret book Wutu Zhengong, and the more he flipped through it, the more surprise and doubt appeared in his eyes. This technique has absolutely no resemblance to the white tiger fist he is currently practicing. The starting point of this skill is to sense some kind of strange power called power of Yuanling, which is gathered through the energy veins of the whole body to become the energy of Wu Earth. Then under the influence of this energy, one's body is refined into Wu Earth. Body. The Qi sensing state should not be after the marrow is transformed. The Qi and blood flourish, and then are refined into Qi. This is the Qi sensing state. It's just that this technique requires Qi training at the beginning, but it is not derived from Qi and blood, but can directly refine some kind of strange power called Yuanling Qi, in the void. Thinking of this, Fang Yue's heart jumped, because some of the descriptions in this secret book, the power of Qi veins and Yuanling, feel like the spiritual roots that I have seen in those novels in my previous life. Could it be that this secret book is actually a secret book for cultivating immortals? Or perhaps, the state of feeling Qi is just like this. It was him who made the fuss. After all, Fang Yue had never read the Qi sensing secret book at all. Moreover, I have never seen a martial artist in the sensing Qi realm. Therefore, he was not sure what this technique was, but he instinctively felt that this technique was not simple. However, since there may be monsters in this world, then maybe you can really become an immortal. Although Fang Yue has a golden finger, human lifespan is limited, therefore, if he could live forever, he would be able to use his natural abilities to a greater extent. However, it is too early to say that now. Maybe I just have little experience. This is how the qi sensing realm in this world is practiced. Fang Yue gradually calmed down and looked at the secret book carefully, then memorized the contents of the cheats thoroughly to ensure that nothing is forgotten. Fang Yue lit the animal skin book on fire, and soon the fire was radiating. The animal skin book burned easily and soon turned into a puddle of ashes. No matter what, you will know once you try it. After eliminating all the thoughts in his mind, Fang Yue began to practice according to the contents in the secret book. A few hours later, a faint golden scale glowed in the sky. Not long after, the sun jumped over the top of the mountain, revealing a little fiery red. No, it still doesn't work. It seems that my qualifications and talents do not meet the minimum requirements for practicing this technique. Fang Yue shook his head in disappointment and tried 7 times in total, but without exception, nothing happens at all. He cannot enter the sensing state and naturally cannot sense the so-called power of the soul, so he cannot continue to practice. Thinking of this, even with Fang Yue's character, he couldn't help but feel a little slack in his heart, but he soon came to his senses. He can't practice immortality now. Maybe it's just that he hasn't met the conditions for cultivation yet. The qualifications are not enough, or the level of cultivation is not enough, and as long as he has time, Fang Yue believes that he will definitely be able to master this technique. After all, his qualifications are increasing every day.